Okay, this is the Air Conservation Commission meeting. It's Thursday, June 13th, 2019. Confirmation of agenda. Any changes to the agenda?
Just we heard from Joanne that the request for certificate of compliance for Nashua Street Extension was never actually filed, so that's off the agenda.
And discussion about North Atlantic Connectivity, North Atlantic Aquatic Connectivity Collaborative. That's postponed to the future meeting. Motion to approve the agenda is amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting minutes. Any comments, changes, improvements?
Improvements, not possible.
It was nice, we had like almost 2 hours discussing the bylaw, but all I had to do in there was really edited the bylaw.
Okay. Motion to approve minutes is written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Announcements.
Evening.
No?
Good evening.
I think there are any announcements that we have.
Okay. And accounts payable.
I've got a spare one if we lost it. It's got to be there.
Okay, we have a invoice, ISS Print Services. This is for printing and mailing the postcard on the bylaw. Total is $1,156.83. Any questions? Motion to pay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I got my reimbursement check for the MACC.
Okay.
Get ready for the next one.
That's right.
Okay. All right, our first public hearing, notice of intent, John Carroll Reserve Subdivision, 54 and 56 Littleton Road.
Good evening.
We have a whole big envelope of green cards. I think copies of them were already sent into the office.
You put it up on
I just
the
put up on the
ledge.
where we can get this. Here's my, take the bottom clips off this one so we can flip it. So we did the mailing, we got a whole big stack of green cards. I think they were already sent to the office, but we're here if anybody wants them anyways.
Would you normally give those to Joanne?
I don't know how Joanne's been doing it, to tell you the truth. I mean, we have copies of all the certified mail receipts. I can give you that if you'd like. that's all that's required. That just proves that we did the mailings, and the stack of green cards proves that somebody got them. The John Carroll Reserve is a open space subdivision under the town's new bylaw. First, it's the best, I guess this one.
We can see it. We can see it.
So it's a 10.8 acre site, of which about 2.6 acres is wetlands. The wetlands are confined to the northeast corner of the site, the northeast portion of the site. There's the wetland line right there. It was flagged by Oxbow Associates last fall. Kind of awkward, I'm ready for both of your backs.
Can you come here to see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you move up and, why don't you tilt that, since we've got the drawing here. Okay. Let them, I guess, get over it.
That's it, yeah, that's fine.
We got technology. So this is the site itself. The boundary comes across here like this. Jess, you can't see it now.
You can come over there.
The limit of work is delineated by this line here, which is hay bales, silt fence. Limit of work around the property. The property generally, I mean, right now it has these two houses on it, and the rest of this is either wooded or partially open land. The contours, as you can see, drain to the north. Contours are working their way across like this, so drainage all goes to the north tip of the property. The subdivision we're talking about is within this area. We had come to you back in, I don't know, October maybe, October, November, with a conservation analysis done by Oxbow Associates as required by your bylaw. At that time, you would talk to us, and when I flipped to the subdivision itself, and you would express some thoughts on what your priorities were, and what you'd like to see us do. I think there was fairly general acknowledgement that the area to be protected on this site are the wetlands and, to the extent possible, the buffer zone itself. As you'll remember, we're under the first version of the bylaw, which requires that we hold at least 50% of the parcel in open space. At the time we came to see you, we had about 50.5%, so we were just squeaked by. Since then, after talking to you, one of the things you said is, we don't like the idea of lots being in the buffer zone. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I think what you were saying is if you can avoid it, please do. So we did. So we took all the lots are outside the buffer zone completely. We do have a stormwater management area here and a stormwater management area there that are within the open space and somewhat within the buffer zone. Just inside the 50 here and up to in this area as well. A little bit more with the cutting of trees into the 50-foot zone. But the house lots and the houses themselves are all outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, which is what you had asked us to do. You would also express that you didn't like the idea of the basins being within the buffer zone or within the open space. However, just most bylaws in Massachusetts for cluster allow that as a use. It's a passive use within the open space, and your bylaw at this point does as well. There's nothing prohibiting that, and there's really no reason not to do it. But the wetlands themselves are at the lowest point of the site, as typically they are. Stormwater then flowing from the subdivision is going to go to collect it is going to be collected at the lowest point of the site, so it's not unusual to find stormwater management areas at the low points of the site near where the wetlands are. You don't go into wetlands, obviously, and you try and keep as much of the buffer zone preserved as you can, but that's basically what we've done. So the majority of the water, talking about drainage for a bit, the majority of the water for the subdivision road and houses all drains in a closed system, for the road anyways, in a closed system with curbing on the road to a catch basin here and a catch basin here, and then through a pipe into this forebay where the sediment settles out and it then overflows into this detention area here. So this, and in this case, we are taking credit for infiltration, we're taking credit for water quality, as we have to under the stormwater management standards, and that's why we've got a forebay and the actual detention area. When you come over to this other one, this is just intended to be detention. We're not taking any credit for water quality. In fact, the vast majority of anything going to this is from roofs and overland flow going through the grass before it gets into this basin. So the grass acts as I mean, a lot of times you put a vegetative buffer strip in. That's basically what this grass will do. But in the stormwater management standards for this basin, we're not taking any credit for TSS removal. So we did.
What
So
does taking credit mean?
means when you do the calculations, you've got to calculate how much TSS removal you've got, and there's certain BMPs that give you credit towards TSS removal, but you've got to have a forebay in it first. And in this case, with this basin here, we're not taking any credit for that. So I mean, it certainly will occur. There will be TSS removal in it. So it's, I guess you could think of it as a very conservative approach, because we're not taking credit for what TSS removal will occur in that basin, because we're able to do it with this other basin in this area. But we've got several tests, and you guys are familiar with this, but I'll just go through it quickly. We've got several tests. We have to make sure that the rate of runoff from the site at the analysis points does not exceed a pre-construction condition. So the analysis point is as it typically is right along the edge of this wetland. So we need to look at that as our analysis point. We've actually got one for this basin and one for this basin. And we need to look at what flows get into that wetland under pre-construction conditions. And you'll see in the stormwater management there's a section entitled pre and a section entitled post. The pre-construction is a model that was built under existing conditions out there today to look and see, with the existing conditions, without any of this built, how much water gets to this wetland in a storm. And the storms we've got to look at are a 2, a 10, and a 100-year storm. So those are the three different types of storms that we look at. And we compare calculations for current conditions today, how much gets to the wetlands, versus proposed conditions under the new construction. And that's what that's how these things get sized. That's what determines the size of these basins, is how much water do they have to store. And it's not just the volume of water, it's how fast it gets there. Like we could let the same volume of water go pre versus post, or post versus pre, but if it got there twice as fast, the peak would be much higher. And we're not allowed to do that, because it's that peak that's the erosive. They'll cause the erosion, it'll cause damage, and convey more sediment. So we've got to pay attention to both the peak rates of flow and how much water is actually flowing.
And for the 100-year storm, the basin is sized to handle it.
Yes.
For sure.
The basin is sized to handle a 100-year storm. And in fact, Jess was there Tuesday night in our planning board discussion, and Bonnie was there, and she raised a question in the meeting. Why do you not, with global warming and all the rest of this, why are you guys using still the old numbers that were 6.5 inches of rain that were as far back as I can remember doing it? And the answer is we're not. At that meeting, I didn't realize exactly how it was being done now, but we use a program called HydroCAD. And the guy that runs HydroCAD, and I think it really is one guy with maybe a couple people working for him, has now built into his program updating of the storms. So when we talk about a 100-year storm today in these calculations, the 100-year storm is 7.92 inches. Whereas 5 years ago, the 100-year storm was 6.5 inches.
And that's what, over a 24-hour period?
And that's over a 24-hour period. So he is actually building in updates, and it's from the NRCC, which is the Northeast Region Climate Center, which is, I think it's at Cornell University, and the study that was done at Cornell for these numbers was actually based on, was actually contracted for by NOAA, NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, because they were doing a study for all the United States, and they recognized that the Northeast has different characteristics, as you might expect, from the Southeast or the South, and so they've contracted with different schools in the areas, and they went to Cornell and said, we'd like you to do a study. And so Cornell did their study, and they came back and they came out with higher numbers for the 100-year storm based on changing conditions and what we're seeing today. But they also came out with different distributions. So instead of just a peak and down again, I think it's a flatter distribution, which means it rains not quite as hard as we used to think, but it rains that way for longer periods of time, resulting in a higher storm volume.
Yep.
So the answer I should have given Tuesday night, but that I wasn't up on this methodology change, but the answer is the changes are being updated in the package that we use, in the software package that we use, based on changes that are being done by NOAA and by this NRCC, and they're incorporated into the package. We don't even have to think about it. We just use what they determine. So it is. I mean, it's quite a bit different from 6.5 inches. It's almost 8 inches now.
And my family, though, they live in Ohio, and they just got 9 inches of rain in 5 hours. So that's not a 100-year storm. That's a crazy storm, right?
That's
and
a
they've
nice.
gotten a couple of those. So
Yeah.
I think the new norm is going to be 100-year storms more often,
Every 10 years?
every 10 years or so. It seems, because
Well, and that's part of what has to be studied, and
that's a massive amount of rain.
well, and if you look at what happened in Houston a couple of years ago, I mean, they got 30 inches or 40 inches of rain. I mean, that's just insane. And I'm sorry, but there's no stormwater basins you can build that are going to handle that kind of runoff. It's just not going to happen. I think they're actually building big culverts under the city now to just take that stuff and store it and send it right to the oceans. But in the Northeast, we're not subject to the same types of storms or the same intensity of storms as they get down there. But yeah, I mean, that kind of rain in Ohio is crazy too. That's nuts. I mean, we get an 8-inch storm around here in 24 hours, and there's going to be flooding all over the place.
So the program you're using is called HydroCAD?
HydroCAD, yeah.
HydroCAD.
It's actually run by a guy. It was developed by a guy up in New Hampshire. What's that?
His name is Peter Smart.
Yeah,
Peter
Peter Smart is his name. That's right. When we first formed our company back in '96, we got HydroCAD because it was recommended to us, and that he was doing it for like 5 years then. He had just started, and he's been doing it ever since then. But it's gotten a lot of credibility, and most engineering firms in the Northeast, especially run smaller sites, are using HydroCAD. When you go to some of the bigger sites, they'll be into other types of programs, but a small site like this. So the answer is we are updating it. We are using newer numbers, and it does result in larger basins and more capacity because we just have to do it. So getting back to this, so we actually went from 50.5% open space to about 56% open space by taking these lots out of the buffer zone. And then, as was discussed in the meeting last night, we reconfigured this subdivision because it was largely laid out as a conventional subdivision, just with houses and garages facing the road. And we've been talked to by Alan Minoyan quite a bit in town about traditional neighborhood design. And one of the things with that is you try to not put the garages in front of the houses. You try to put them either alongside or behind the houses. Bring a common driveway in and have it split off. Also try to, with these common driveways, try to form like little neighborhood enclaves with 3 or 4 houses that are all kind of together in a neighborhood design, and then have enough proximity with all these houses with their street, with their facade of the house facing the street instead of the garage facing the street, that you really kind of build in more of a neighborhood feel to it.
So are these houses, the dwellings, is that what you've set up? Is that essentially most of the front doors are facing the street?
Well, yeah, I mean, what we've done, yeah, for where we could, like in here, it was alongside, there's nothing we can do about it, but back in here, the garages are at the back. Here, the garages are at the back. Here, the garages are at the back.
Right, but let's say like lot 18 there, right? So is the front door...
Lot 18,
yeah.
right there.
So is the front door facing...
In this case, I would think the front door would be facing the driveway, which is where the main entrance is. This is going to feel like the front of the house.
Okay.
But what I will say is, we're not house designers, as you can probably tell from looking at these plans. These are boxes. They're basically envelopes within which a builder is going to put a house that they design. And they're going to pick the design. They're going to pick how big it is and all the rest of it. But because the driveway layouts dictate where the garages go, they're going to have to fit pretty much within the types of layout that we've got here. DPW raised a couple of concerns. They don't like this island in the middle, in the back. That doesn't really affect you guys much, but we may end up just paving this entire cul-de-sac, which we kind of hate to do because it just makes a sea of asphalt in the middle of the cul-de-sac, but it makes it very difficult for the highway department to plow if they have to plow around that circle.
Right, exactly.
And the people at the very end end up getting most of the snow dumped in their front yard. So, so we'll probably accede to their wishes if that's what they'd rather see. But that could also then double as a snow storage area in the winter in that middle.
And they can take bets on when it will melt.
Yeah. We do have an easement. You can't see it on this plan because it's not there, but on our property line plan, we're showing a 15-foot easement down this lot line, 7.5 feet on each side, which is between 10 and 11. And one of the criticisms was we didn't have enough, and that is for maintenance of the basins, but it could also be used as access to the open space. But one of the criticisms we heard was that there's not enough access to the open space. So the other thing I'm proposing is for this driveway right here between lots 13 and 14 to extend the driveway easement to the property line, and then that could also be a means of access to the open space in the back. So then you'd be coming down a common driveway. It's not just any person's single driveway, but you're coming down a common driveway and access to the back. And that's for these people across the street that don't back up against the open space, or for different people around here that don't back up to the open space. So that's a change that we can make, that we'll change on the plans. You've got a note of that, right?
So otherwise, the only access for
Would be
maintenance was
through-
through 10 and 11.
Yeah, which is the actual official easement for the maintenance of the basins themselves.
So if they wanted to get down to the other basin, they have to loop all the way around.
I'm sorry?
If they wanted to get to the other basin, you'd have to loop all the way around.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, you can walk down
From
here
maintenance
and
perspective.
cut off and get
Maintenance-wise, you mean?
to this. Yeah, you could certainly do it, but this is a better way to get down into here. Now, this basin
Yeah.
really shouldn't require much in the way of maintenance, because there's not going to be a lot of sediment collected in there. It's going to be, there's no forebay to clean out on a regular basis like there is in here. There may be some mowing, so they may want to be able to get to it for that if it grows up too much. But
Yeah. But that probably is the easiest way
Yeah.
of making that happen.
right. The other thing with this is we did test pits out here in the areas of the basins and in the rest of the subdivision, and over much of the site, the groundwater table is right around 24, 26 inches. So we've made the decision actually that each of these houses is going to be a slab on grade, so when the house is designed, they've got to design their utilities into a part of the garage or something like that, and storage above the garage, or however they end up doing it. But it just seemed like a much easier way to go. And actually, it was interesting talking to the people marketing this. Basically said that the millennials buying houses, if I can use that label, don't seem to really care about a basement. they're not, that's not something they're really interested, and they're not interested in large yards. They basically want a small yard, they don't have to do a lot to take care of, and they can live in and store stuff in their garage, and that's, so they're very comfortable marketing these smaller lots to the people that would probably be buying them in that age range. I think they'd also be good for somebody who's maybe a little bit older and wants to downsize and move into a house that's a decent size but doesn't have an acre and a half of lawn to mow. So we think this will be a fairly nice little subdivision. We've asked for waivers from the planning board for the roadway to neck down to 24 feet wide instead of the 36 feet wide. Ayer is the only town I know that has a requirement to put a 36-foot wide road in a subdivision. That's a huge road. But I think the planning board routinely grants that just because stormwater-wise, it just makes no sense to have all that much pavement in a cul-de-sac. What else can I tell you about it?
I think you mentioned the other night that each house was going to have a grinder pump.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So each, and I don't know how much of this you guys are interested in because it really isn't terribly relevant to the notice of intent, but just for general information, this is going to be on a low pressure sewer system that connects out in the street here to a main. So there's a low pressure line running all the way down here, but there is no pump station. The pumps are in each individual house, so the house will discharge to a tank, probably outside the house, to a subsurface tank that will have a pump associated with it. They call it an E1 grinder pump. So it doesn't go to a septic tank. It doesn't sit in, floatables and solids and all that stuff. It just goes to a tank. When the float reaches a certain level, then the E1 grinder pump turns on and ejects probably through an 1.5 or 2 inch force main coming out of the house out to the main and the street, ejects a tank load of effluent, which then it sees the line going out as a slug in the line. Maybe it's 4 or 5 feet long, or whatever it is, but it pumps that slug until the tank is empty, and then it shuts down. And there's backflow preventers, so it doesn't backflow. And then that just sits in that line. And similarly, the main going out to the street is full as well, and it just sits in that sewer line. And every time somebody's pump kicks on and pumps a slug, it pumps it into that main, and then that pushes that same amount of water of effluent out of the pipe at the other end into the sewer line, which then is a gravity connection at that point.
Eventually somebody pushes it into the street.
Into the main out in the street.
Right.
The tank you said was is in the house?
I don't think so. I think the tank's
outside.
generally outside the house and the pump is outside with it. So there's a maintenance issue there for each individual homeowner. Obviously, you've got to maintain the tank. It's a heck of a lot easier to maintain that tank and that pump than it is to maintain a septic system, given what those things cost if they go bad on you. But E1 pumps, if you maintain them properly, they're pretty reliable and they'll go for a pretty long time. When you do replace them, they're a few $1,000 expense. They're not a huge expense. But what that does is it distributes that maintenance among the homeowners rather than having to collect homeowner fees or something to build a pump station at the end of the street that then the DPW has to worry about and becomes responsible for. In this case, if your sewer pump is not working, you don't call the DPW, you call your plumber and he comes out and fixes it. So it's not yeah.
I think both Joanne and Bonnie had concerns that, because we did have that issue over on Jonathan Drive where grinder pump failed and we had a lot of raw sewage coming out into the yard close to the wetlands. So with the really sandy soil here and 20 different grinder pumps.
I don't think it's all that sandy, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
It's a sea soil, so it's a pretty impermeable. That's why it's got such a high groundwater table. They have alarms on them, and they're if you think about it, if you've got a tank full and you've got a pump and the pump stops working, it's not going to push under pressure anywhere because the pump's not working. So if the pump's working and the line is broken or runs on the surface or something, then you might have that issue, but I don't know how that could happen with this because you really have, the only head you've got getting to that tank is coming from the house itself. So it might back up into the house, and which would be the first sign of trouble, besides the red light blinking in your front lawn. But I don't think that's, and certainly not here where all the sewer connections are between the house and the street, not anywhere near the edge of the wetlands, or a long ways from the wetlands. So I don't think that would ever be a concern.
Is it the potential where they can be set up like a dual something, right? So the first grinder pumps at this level, and if it gets beyond that, gets up to the next level, there's a backup one just above it, let's say?
Actually, what they don't do it that way. What they do is they'll, in some cases, and a homeowner could ask for this if you wanted to, we could put in dual pumps, where one pump works this time and this pump works the next time, and they cycle off till you get twice as long or longer out of them. And in that case, if one of them goes bad, you still got the other one that can work while you come in and pull this one. Usually they only do that in a commercial facility where you couldn't tolerate not being able to flush the toilet. You'd have to close the building or something. But a homeowner, if he decided he wanted to be ultra safe, could do that, and it's not twice the cost.
How big is the storage tank?
How do you know? I don't know.
It's fairly small, it's not that big.
Yeah.
Probably that
Oh,
big.
so.
Yeah, it's not like a septic tank at
Not like
all.
100 gallons. It's like
No, no.
100. Not even.
No.
So that pump's probably pumping maybe once a day, maybe once every other day or something at the most.
I think it depends on where it's located, but we
Yeah.
do have the design sheet from the manufacturer that we can, provide that information.
Yeah.
We just have to make, it's minor revision that's recommended by the manufacturer.
Yeah.
Putting in an additional manhole for the flushing connection, at, the middle of the road, I think, coming down.
But that's for the main.
Right.
That flushing connection will be on the main, yeah. But each individual connection, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're not talking about a
You got it
septic
over here.
system size,
It's all
1,500
flushing
gallon
connection.
tank or anything even close to that.
So when it fails, you know.
Oh, yeah. And when it's not that big a deal to deal with, and there are alarms on it. You can bring the alarms into the house so you see it either on the corner of the house, or you can see it in the house itself on a control panel or something.
Xfinity can tell you all about it.
Yeah, you probably could.
Popped up in your television. Hey,
So I think Joanne would probably like to have the design specs and showing the size of the tank and stuff, so.
We can provide that.
So that's the sewer system that we're planning on. Obviously, it's town water as well. Not a well, it's town water also. So let me show you the grading plan in the sewer limit disturbance.
That was Bonnie on that one.
Each of these basins is at most 4 feet deep. If you look at the grades in the middle versus the grades on the top berm, it's a 4-foot difference. So it's either 3, most of it's 3, and then the deepest part is 4 feet. And that is intended to have some freeboard available as well. It's not calculated right up to the top. So most likely there wouldn't be more than 3 feet of water in these at any point in time during a big storm. And in a small storm, it wouldn't be anywhere near that much. There is an overflow here. This is a wooded area. Overflow into the wooded area as an emergency basis. It's not a planned overflow. Most of this is infiltrating into the ground. Same with this basin. There is an overflow here into the woods in the event that the 100-year storm is exceeded. Because we always want to have a fail-safe on it. We do have a little bit of work to regrade around these buildings because they are going to be slabs on grade. So in the back here where it looks like we've got a walkout basement, that's going to be graded around. So we've got some revision to do right there for some of these, but it won't change and much of the site, by the way, I told you it's 24 inches, 26 inches to groundwater, but we're actually filling for the road. So we're putting 2 to 3 feet of fill across a good portion of the constructed area of the site in here. So we will be able to have utilities in the road that will not be in the groundwater, at least for the cable utilities and that kind of stuff, and maybe for the deeper sewer line running up the middle. They might have to get into the groundwater a little bit to lay that, but again, it's a force main, so it's not like the 8-inch sewer main that you'd see out in the street. It's probably going to be a 3 to 4 inch force main, and it tends to be an extruded pipe, so it's got much longer lengths before you have to make connections, because it is under pressure and it's got to be pressure tested when they put it in the ground. So a good portion of this site is getting fill, and that will, as I said, raise up some of the base. It could have raised the basements also. It will raise the utilities, but it could have raised the basements as well, but not enough so that you'd get out of having your bottom 3 or 4 feet of your basement would have been like a bathtub.
Yeah.
Trying to hold the water out, and it's probably not a good idea to do that, especially for people who don't really care about basements, if that's the case. So the limits of the grading are shown here. These are all proposed grades. Limit of this grading here, which is why the tree line is cut back to where it is, so we can do that grading, place that fill. Basically, what you're seeing here is us building berms around at the lower elevations to encompass the water holding. So this is a berm that's being built that then holds back the pond. Because as I said, we're 2 feet off of groundwater, so we really can't go very deep. So if we're going to hold the water, we've got to build up a berm to do it. DEP requires us to be 2 feet from the bottom of the basin to the seasonal high groundwater table, so we always have to maintain that. Which actually reminds me, there's if you read Mark Archambault's comments, he was asking why we couldn't use rain gardens on this site like they did over in Devens. The first answer is over in Devens, they probably have 5 or 6 feet to groundwater, and they've got sandy soil over there. So a rain garden is something that basically, what it is you dig a big hole in the ground, but then you fill it with dirt. And the water comes in around, usually plants or a tree or something around it, to soak up some of the nutrients and whatnot. But then it's a soil media that's a designed soil media to function as a filter. And at the bottom, it infiltrates after it's been cleaned, the runoff infiltrates into the ground and or in some cases he may actually have a pipe taking it off to another discharge point somewhere. But in this case, where we've got such high groundwater table, we don't have the 4 or 5 feet you would need to be able to dig down and still be 2 feet above groundwater for these rain gardens, and we don't have the ability to infiltrate because of the type of soil that it is. It's a sea soil. It's not very permeable. It doesn't infiltrate well. If we had to put septic systems in it, we could do it, but they'd be big systems because of the limited infiltration. So we are getting enough infiltration with this basin in the back to meet the stormwater management standards that we need. But that's why it's as big as it is too, is because we need that infiltration capability. So the rain gardens, while they're a nice idea, they really don't work well on this, and having a rain garden in individual homeowner's yard is difficult too, because they're supposed to replace the soil media on a regular basis, like once a year, twice a year, and that's something an individual homeowner would just never do. So over time, they're just not going to work, and so it's probably not a good idea.
So looking at the existing contours and such, I mean, you're going to be bringing in quite a bit of fill.
Yeah.
Right, if I'm looking at this, I mean, you got 268 back in here, right? This is 268 here, bringing up to 271. This is 275 here. So it's like 4 feet of fill that's going in here before you do anything. That's all compacted down, because this is basically at the original contour right now at 264.
Right.
So like I said, I mean, this is all berm being built up.
It's all built
right?
up.
I mean, it's 4 feet that's going to be around there. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
That's going to be a ton of dirt going in.
Yeah, I mean, the foundations will go on the ground. They'll go on a compacted pad before for the.
Yeah, I mean, up here you're about at grade based on
Right.
what you're saying from the old contours and such. But
Yeah.
as you get back in here, I mean, that's quite bad.
It is.
So who's responsible for the basin maintenance?
There'll be a homeowners association because that's not gonna be, I don't think the DPW is gonna own that.
Okay.
I think they're gonna have a homeowners association for it. The DPW may very well take responsibility for the roadway itself. It's built to town standards and it's a, it's a standard subdivision road basically. But I don't think they're anxious to take over basins like this, so I think we'll probably have to be a homeowner association.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they are based on them requesting you to
Yeah.
remove the
Yeah,
cul-de-sac.
they're planning on
island,
plowing
right?
it, yeah, they know they're
Yeah.
gonna plow it, yeah. And they'll have to be, the sewer system, I think, once it gets in the street, the town owns that. But getting to the street is the responsibility of the homeowner.
And when you say that, you mean not to Littleton Road, but you mean up to whatever this road's
Yes,
called, okay.
yeah, because they already own Littleton Road, but they're gonna own all the way down this road if it's accepted by the town. They'll own the sewer system all the way down.
And these shared driveways are truly that shared driveways, those won't be
Street.
given over to the town, right?
No, those are individual driveways. So, I don't know how familiar you are with the bylaws and the new bylaw, but what's interesting about this development is there is no required minimum frontage or required minimum area under the new
The open space.
bylaw.
Yeah,
So
right.
this was designed with that in mind.
Compact.
Compact it is.
So Bonnie couldn't be here, but if she were, she would want to ask about calculations for pervious versus impervious surface area.
Yeah.
What would she like to know?
Have those calculations been done?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Everything, let me talk about that a little bit. So when we do these calculations on this site, anything that is impervious now, we don't have to mitigate for under new construction. So like if they had, and they don't, but let's say they had a paved driveway that came in this far, the width of our road, we would not have to mitigate for that pavement because it already exists on the site. However, the rest of it we would. Well, in this case, it's not paved, so we'll be doing the whole thing, or if it is, it's in terrible shape. But the roofs count as well. So the roofs are impervious, sidewalks are impervious, driveways are impervious, the roadway itself is impervious. So we've got to account for all of that. But the other thing we have to account for is the change in surface of the ground itself. So if you've got a wooded area, it's got a certain coefficient of runoff in a wooded area. So let's say it's a 35 or something as a coefficient of runoff, and when you put in grass lawns, it jumps up to a 68 or a 70. What that means is that much more water is going to run off of a lawn than runs off of a wooded area. So we also have to take into account what happens in the proposed condition with not only the impervious surface added, but those grassed areas replacing woods. So all of that has been accounted for for this entire area, including the basins. And when we do the basins, those end up being counted as impervious area because when the rain hits it, it's immediately increasing the depth of the basin with the rain hitting it. So you've got to treat that as though it's an impervious surface as well. So the whole site has been accounted for, not just for what's impervious versus not, but what the characteristics of the runoff is. And we also look at all the different soil types. There's U.S. Agriculture has soil maps that we look at, and it'll tell us what types of soil and characteristics of the types of soil. It's either an A, B, C, or D, A being super well-drained sand and D being muck in a wetland that'll never drain at all. And we're saying this site is, I think, B and C. Is that what this is? C all the way. So it's not a very well-drained site. So it's a hydrologic group C, which means it's not going to drain very well.
That's currently?
Well, it'll be the same. When we add the fill, we don't get to take credit for bringing in sandy fill and changing it to an A soil. We have to treat it as though it's all the same soil.
So once it's totally built out, what's the total acreage of impervious then? I think that's basically what Bonnie's asking, right?
It's in
Sounds
our,
good.
it's in our calculations. I don't know off the top of my
So
head.
we're the hydro pad actually. So the hydro pad is split up into pre-existing condition and post-development condition. If you go to, let's see, so if you can find a sheet just showing, so this is the pre-existing condition.
Is that in this?
Yes.
So, yes.
Okay.
So if you flip a page after those symbols,
Oh, there's
How
some
many
attachments
pages
right
in is
there.
that?
about 100. So you'll see this page here that says area listing.
Yep.
So this shows you all the, ground cover, any sort of pavement area and stuff like that for
Mhm.
existing condition. And it'll show the same for the post condition in the other one, which is,
So in this case, to answer your question, paved parking, we've got 6,787 feet. And roofs, we've got about 16,000 square feet of impervious on the pre-condition. And
Right after this, Jess? So there's the folded page, then there's this thing,
Okay.
all right? And it's in the stormwater one?
so in this one, you've got
Yeah. So after the map that's in there, you catch
29.
this. Yep, there you go, right after that. And you got that, and then you got the next page, and it's on the left side. Right, so the 408,000 square feet, that's roughly, that's the 10.88 acres of total
Yes, right.
parcel, right?
So looking at the post-condition, you got about 48 plus 34,000. 78, 82,000. So about 2 acres.
2 acres.
So you go from a half an acre of impervious to about 2 acres of impervious, is the short answer.
I'm sorry, where's the post? I didn't catch that. A couple pages in yet? Am I
No,
right?
it's the second half of the report. So look in your upper right-hand corner, does it say post in there?
so you want to keep flipping.
Okay, all right.
So you-
Yeah, because I was reading this as pre-development, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
halfway through there's this page, which is the post-development.
Okay.
There you go. Look on the back of
Yeah,
that.
Okay.
Look
Keep
right
going
on.
to the next folded map.
Okay.
There we go.
So on the back of that, you can see we've got paved roads, paved parking, and
Right, yeah,
roofs.
right after that, there you go. Then it's got post-development, upper left-hand corner there. Jess, see it?
Yep.
So paved parking, paved roads, and roofs. Now roofs are considered, quote, clean. So roofs need to be held back, just like any other runoff does for volume and rate, but it doesn't need to get the same level of treatment that roads do. If you think about it, a roof is pretty, there's nothing much coming off of your shingled roof in the way of pollutants, but coming off of your pavement or your parking, certainly you're going to have hydrocarbons from the road, from the exhaust, and oil leaks and anything else that gets on pavement. But they all count together when it comes to having to hold back the volume or the rate of runoff. But, so the answer is yes, all of that is accounted for.
Okay. Do you have to get an MS4 or where? This is what happens when you ask.
No, we're not in a municipal stormwater system or any requirement for that, no. It's all being held on site. If we were tying into the town's stormwater system and it was going to treatment or something, we might.
Any other questions?
The only other thing was there were a number of people at the planning board meeting, neighbors who were concerned about how wet the area already is and what this might do to change.
Well,
Impact them.
everything we're telling you is geared towards saying we're held to a standard that says we can't change it. We can't make it worse. And, we had one neighbor here who thought that they owned this, which was kind of funny. But then we were able to show them on the abutters list where their property actually was, so they were all set. But people, I'm sure it's wet here, especially this year. I mean, that has to be the wettest this has probably been in 20 years after this spring. I wouldn't doubt that a bit. But to try and assign responsibility for it, or to say, well, your basin isn't working right, and so that's why I've got more water in the wetland than I had last year, is an impossible thing. But the thing that I said last night at the meeting, and I'll say again, is that this is a very well vetted technology. It's been done this way with this program originally developed by the government, TR20, which then was morphed for smaller sites into TR55, on which HydroCat is based. It's a TR55 based program. It's been vetted for 50 years now at this point, and it generally gives fairly accurate results, and it's been shown to be fairly accurate for the types of parameters that we're able to look at, which is the ground surface, soils, the surface of the ground itself, the slopes, which of course factor into it in a big way. When we do our model, we're not just looking at what the soil is, what the soil is and what the ground surface is, but how steep the ground is too. That plays a big part in how fast the runoff comes, as you would fully expect. But all that is taken into account in the model. It's been proven to be pretty accurate, and it's been refined for years now, so it's getting better and better. So there's every reason to believe that it's going to work on this site just as good as it has anywhere else. But the DEP is also come up, has had since 1995. They've had stormwater management standards that we have to adhere to. I think there's 10 or 12 stormwater management standards, and those are what govern the tests that we've got to pass, like the rate, attenuation of the rate, attenuation of the volume, and infiltration that we've got to meet, and all the other things. That's all part of the DEP stormwater management handbook and standards. So it's pretty well legislated at this point.
I think I'm channeling Joanne or Bonnie.
I see that. Yeah, I see that.
But I think, given we have the calculations, but then there's some sites in town, like Nashua Street Extension and Pleasant Street, where the groundwater was found to be higher than was planned for, and they've had all sorts of drainage issues arise. Now that's within the new subdivision areas. So the concern I would have would be if we wound up with some unanticipatable issues like that here, then would it affect already existing neighbors, abutting neighbors? That's what I think one of the residents suggested or asked about an outside consultant reviewing the calculations.
The planning board most likely will do that. They seemed like they were going to have somebody do that, which is fine. We're peer reviewed all the time. That's not a problem. We do peer reviews for other towns too, so we're very open to that. We're all using the same methodology, so.
That's it for me.
Yes. So, notice of intent, we did sidewalk.
Mm-hmm. We did, we have been out there and staked the center line of the road and then up around the cul-de-sac. So when you do the sidewalk, you'll be able to see that. But of course, we'd be more than happy to accompany you and give you the grant
Stake
tour.
basins as well.
If they haven't already, I can get them to do that, yeah.
Okay.
You make a note of that, Hudson?
What have you already staked, the road?
The center line of the road.
Anything else?
That's all we've
That's
staked
all,
to date,
okay.
but we'll stake the limits of the basins, or we'll do something to be able to figure out where the basins are.
I can't always catch everything as I write.
I know, that's tough. That's tough.
So, I'm not available this weekend. The following weekend. Yeah,
I could do that.
okay. 9 a.m.
What are we saying?
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
29th, 9 a.m.
29th, 9 a.m. Yeah, I got it. It won't be me, but it'll be somebody.
All right.
Probably either Hud or Nick or both of them.
Any public comment?
My name is Mary Walker, Joe Walker. We have a house in Amsterdam, Over Drive. We're trying to put the existing doors in down, so we're trying to put a little higher.
Do you have any comments on this project?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, not on this project.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay,
All
sorry.
right.
You're next.
Okay.
All right, so motion to continue to the following meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Date would be,
The 27th? No,
Mm.
July 11th.
Yeah, that- yeah.
July 11th.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, next,
Is this good?
9 AM.
I'm sorry?
Where they gonna be there?
When you head out of town, you go to the Rotary, and you head out towards Littleton. On the left, going out to Littleton, right across from Shaker Road. Right across from
You let me know.
there.
You see me fast.
Where we talk about law and engineering, building right across the
Yeah,
law.
across the street.
We talk and say hi to everyone.
Yeah, that's the first one.
all right, next, the request for determination of applicability 113 Oak Ridge Drive.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Good, how are you?
Talking about asking my business.
Put that chair, yeah.
That's Joe Walker. My name is Mayor Walker.
Nice to meet you.
I own the business right here, Mayor Beauty Salon. Been there for 29 years. Probably. But I have a house in Oak Ridge Drive. What I trying to do is, you explain to me.
The back of the house goes down to the pond, and the ground itself is eroding. The houses on each side of us have a
Retain.
raised platform
Retaining wall.
And-
Yeah.
wall, and ours doesn't, and it's starting to erode. So what we want to do is to put some soil down and just keep it from eroding, build it up a little bit more.
And build a wall of some.
No,
Just
no,
put-
not the wall, just to fill in the spots that have been eroded.
Mhm.
That's all I ask him.
So how are we gonna do this? You gonna have machinery come in and,
No, my wife has purchased a
Dirt from,
couple of truckloads of dirt, and we're planning to put it in by hand.
Just wheelbarrow,
I'm sorry?
wheelbarrow.
Wheelbarrow,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So a nice, easy job.
yeah, this.
Well, not nice and easy, but it's a
Have
job
some.
that can be managed, yes.
What's the slope down? Because my concern would be putting in dirt without a retaining wall. What's going to stop?
Won't be start because we're putting a lot of rock underneath, so the rocks, and then I'm gonna build bushes, flowers, so that way it will knock the water, but not be go. So,
Is it wooded so that grass wouldn't grow, or?
no, there's a lot of thing grow, but this grass doesn't have any grass at all. So I've had the house for
It's
15
mostly
years.
just weeds.
Weeds.
So,
Everybody have retaining wall. I just want to be open, to be accepted to do the job. So I'm not trying to do walls.
Are
And
you
so,
next to that piece of property that has the log retaining wall? The high log?
yeah, I'm next to it, the June Hunt,
Oh,
next to
okay.
June Hunt, yeah.
Okay.
I've seen that from the water.
Oh, did you? Okay,
Yeah.
where do you live?
Where do I live?
You live around it?
Yeah, I was paddling.
Oh, pass,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, they have 2 retaining wall, but I didn't have none.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is just going down, because I had it for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working on it to take care of it, but just wanted to do that for this year's.
And where would the dirt be stored when you were working on it? Just-
I'd be on the side, I have the sidewalk.
Mhm.
How many yards of dirt did you purchase? Are you planning to purchase?
No, he trying to charge me, depending how much I use. He gave me set price to finish it up, to level it up.
Okay. And are they dumping it all off at once, or they
No,
bringing you a load
little
and
bit.
you spread it, and
It's
it's like,
spread.
hey, I need a little bit
Yeah.
more, you're gonna bring you some more?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's the way to do it.
So just your concern, dirt
Well,
goes down,
Yeah.
it's gonna take a while for anything to take hold, and in the meantime, rains will come and the dirt will
Right.
wash down, right?
So my suggestion, given Joanne wasn't able to be here and we haven't seen it, is could we add that in on our sidewalk on the 29th?
Nice.
Right.
Just take a
Okay.
look.
Yeah.
Just because it is a steep slope and we just want to
Yeah.
make sure.
I
Yeah, we don't wanna-
have do soil before on the side, the house, that wash away, I wouldn't buy that. I already tried that, because this one is have rock in it, because the rock would hold the dirt.
Yeah.
So I'm doing to take care
Okay.
as well, because
There
it's
is, there's weeds and
Yeah.
a couple of trees, but,
we're not going there far.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah.
say around 10 o'clock on the 29th,
Sure.
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock,
29. 29.
yeah,
That's in, what day is that?
it's a Saturday.
Saturday.
I'm a hairdresser, so if I'm busy, I will send my husband.
Okay.
Okay.
You can be
Would
there.
8:30 be better?
No, huh?
Would 8:30 be better for your schedule, or?
Yeah, I don't want you guys get up early in the morning, but if you got
10 o'clock will be fine.
I've been up.
10
Ten's
o'clock,
okay.
yeah, I skip. If I had customer, I skip and then come. That's fine.
Okay,
All right.
all right,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see you then.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And this is the 113 open?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Next up is discussion Cohort Place conservation restriction. There's not much to discuss. According to Joanne, AJ says that his in-laws are happy with the changes. So I guess the next step is for us to pass it on to town council for their review.
And she thought we might need a vote. So.
Yeah. So can I have a motion to, I guess, approve the restriction as written for, and submitted for town council review?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And next is the Wetlands Protection Bylaw.
Not much to discuss. You all have the latest one that is now on the website. You could take a look under the definitions on page 12. I increased the font size for readability. Old eyes. So, I did add a section which we discussed me doing minor activities. So you should just read that over at some point, and then remembering that our draft that's now up on the website is not set in concrete. So as we respond to people's residents' comments, we can also respond to our own. So then the reminder is we have a meeting next Thursday.
That's right.
Did y'all get your postcards?
Did.
I did, just got mine today.
I got mine a couple days ago.
I did see it up on the town's Facebook page. there were a couple shares already when I saw it.
Yeah.
So, Cindy hasn't set it up yet, or it's up on the webpage. She's got to still figure in how to make it interactive so people can leave comments online. But that's coming up. And the only other thing I thought I'd prepare, and I sort of already did most of that work when I was beginning this, but I'm just going to do a little sheet comparing what we've added into this that's not in the Wetland Protection Act or our pathetic existing bylaw, just so it's clear, people can see what the changes are.
Okay. We should probably have a couple PowerPoint slides. So we can just have them up here while we're talking.
PowerPoint slides, okay, Joanne can do those, but we'll talk about it.
If you want to send me the words, I can throw them in PowerPoint or something for you.
Ooh, or send to Mark.
I can do like a before and after, whatever, compare, contrast or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that was one of the things that we were missing last
I'll have my
time.
daughter do it.
Yeah.
I'll have my daughter do it. She's hanging out.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So basically, I think we're in pretty good shape.
One thing I was thinking about is we have these things for town council review.
Yeah.
Town council's not going to see it until it's supposedly final. So if they have any feedback that we need to consider, it'll be too late.
So should we try to get a copy to preliminary comments from town council?
So at some point, yeah.
Okay. So we should submit this to town council now.
Not necessarily now. Let's wait till at least after the meeting.
Okay. After.
No. I'll have Joanne check with Robert on what he thinks is the best way to handle it.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Conservation Office updates.
You went and looked at beaver dams?
Yeah, Joanne and I went out and looked at the Beaver Dam out on Pine Meadow.
Oh, yeah.
I guess she'd gotten some reports that it was getting higher and flooding out the trail.
Which one is this?
The one that's just above the bridge?
Yeah.
Wait, where?
Above the Scout Bridge?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it might be a little higher, but it didn't look like there was a lot of new activity on the dam. And you do have to sort of go up on higher ground at a couple spots to get up onto the Autumn Ridge Trail.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get up to the upper dam, it looks like the water level on both sides is about the same. So I suggested we have Beaver Solutions come in and take a look at the lower dam, see if they'd recommend another deceiver there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got it.
And we saw osprey, heron, and a mama hooded merganser and their little ducklings.
We saw a mama hooded?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I thought they just sort of moved on.
I didn't think they did around here.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And Joanne reported that there's a whole lot of Japanese knotweed growing around Calvin's storage facility.
Already.
So he must have gotten a bargain on some soil. So there is a condition in his order that says that fill should be free of invasives. So I don't know what we want to do about that.
Ask him to eradicate it
Yeah,
some way, shape, or form.
yeah, we can write him a letter.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want Joanne to write him a letter?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I can think of.
And then the erosion controls.
Oh yeah, she said the erosion controls are been installed over on next to the compassionate care. And there'll be a bunch
And
of
flags.
wetland flags,
Okay.
well, blue flags. We suppose they're marking a wetland.
Or something.
All right. Member updates. Mark,
I got nothing.
John, Jess,
CPC. Yeah, nothing.
It's an active weekend for turtles, then, one thing, I'll say.
Wow.
Yeah, a
No
bunch.
kidding.
Yeah. Bunch of snappers all over the place and a couple painted. I think I may have saw a landing, so I don't see if you guys, I don't know if you've ever seen one, but
I've seen one once.
Yeah. I saw Fenn raises little ones and lets them go.
yeah,
And we have a turf football field. 2 landings were going across the field. And a hawk was very, very interested.
really?
Yeah. I guess they pick them up and drop them
Ouch.
from a long distance. But yeah, there's 2 of them and a snapping turtle going right across the turf.
Wow.
Yeah, the snapper was all over my lawn. Just like, then ran into the fence and was kind of trying to get through the fence and went all the way around. But yeah, the painteds were going along too. Dog saw him, was like freaking out. I gotta get that. It's moving on my lawn.
I had a rabid raccoon on my driveway last week.
It was rabid?
I think so.
Why do you think?
High noon.
Well, it was high noon. It was on the, it was moving, so it was, when my neighbors saw it first, it was on my walkway, driveway. And then it sort of moved around under my car and onto my soil power and pile. But it was dragging its rear legs,
Oh.
and then it was also pawing in its mouth.
Huh.
So I can show you, I called the police and they came over and dispatched it, poor thing.
It was for the best.
Probably.
Well, yeah, because you don't want other,
Yeah, you don't want to pass it along.
yeah. Yes, so here's, well, actually, so here you can see how it was moving.
Oh, no, it's, yeah.
yeah.
Little guy's sick.
Yeah. And then,
Did it look like its legs were injured? Like maybe it got hit by a car or something? Or?
no, there wasn't any blood or anything.
Okay.
And then this one, you can see it started pawing at its mouth, which I think they also do when they're rabid. So they have trouble swallowing and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Mm.
it was the best guess was that it was.
Yeah.
So
It's not common behavior. We had one in our tree. He came down head first. Have you seen him come down a tree?
Hmm.
Just walking very slowly, head first, 40 feet up.
wow.
Just coming down. Looked at me. And took off. The cat was interested.
All right.
Oh,
Nothing else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.